the fire and storm, I remain on. Through the fire and storm, I remain on. Trial by fire, trial by fire.
Thank you everybody for tuning in to the Armchair Bookers Podcast. I'm your host Joshua Jocelyn, and it is great to be talking wrestling. This week had a lot of things going on, lots of things. We had the CM Punk Brawl-In, we had Payback, and that's what I'm going to focus on this episode. WWE Payback. Some would call it a B show. I would call it a B show that got a B-, C+ rating from me. This episode is all about those reactions and those feelings as to what brought me to a B-, C+ grade. Alright, let's go into match order. Where are we at? So we have to start the cage match between Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus. That's the match that we've been waiting for. That's what we wanted to see between these two ladies. I'm going to start at the end, the aftermath. These two ladies got banged up. They went completely all in. Maybe they even went brawl in. Yuck, yuck, yuck. In this match. But for real, holy cow. Two absolute studettes in the ring, two icons. This is the match. This is the story that we've been waiting for. This is exactly what we wanted to see. These two ladies going all out. Not like we didn't expect them to be able to. We know that they can. And I think that was a lot of the frustration with this storyline from fans, at least from this fan. The brutality just didn't feel real. It felt very scripted. It felt like they just hammered home the point of the feud, which is Becky should thank Trish for Becky having the career that she's been able to have. But that was for months. The match should have been on SummerSlam, but it was not there yet. The best thing this did was this whole storyline, this whole feud, was this cage match and elevating Zoe Stark. I love that the way things ended with her participation in this match. But let's start at the beginning. Let's go back to the beginning. Great match, great physicality, bumps and bruises, red marks galore. Check out the aftermath pictures. The match itself was entertaining, brought me in, made me excited for the rest of the card. I knew that, I didn't know, excuse me. I felt like this had the chance, I didn't really speak to it in my predictions, that this had a chance to steal the show, but I'm glad that it started it and probably was the best overall match in the show. The storyline seems like it's been settled. Zoe Stark came in exactly when it was expected for her to. Played a factor in the decision, which I'm fine with because that's been this whole feud. It would be surprising for Zoe Stark not to be involved. I mentioned that in the predictions episode. Real quick, lots of run-ins, lots of extra people in the matches. So let's start right now. Match 1 had one run-in. We'll want to keep a tab as we move through my review. But what else can I say other than it was the match we've been waiting for. It's the match we wanted. It's the match that will absolutely be fine with ending the feud. Let's move on to bigger, better things from these two ladies. And I do say better because the feud itself was subpar at best. It seems like Tiffany Stratton might be involved with Becky Lynch. Maybe Becky Lynch having a little run down in NXT. She has never held that belt. And she's very capable of elevating talent. She is one of the best doing it today, one of the best doing it before, one of the best doing it, I'm sure, in the future. So I am very, very excited to see what happens next. I wish we would have gotten there sooner. Next up, we had a promo from John Cena. Great to see Cena always. At this point, I no longer boo Cena, even though I did just sarcastically. He is amazing. Seeing him hearing him, watching him come out, the crowd just reacts in a way that you just don't get to see anymore. But the reaction LA Knight got was, if not the same, maybe bigger. But we'll get to that. It started with Miz cutting a promo about being host. John Cena cutting a promo about being the host. The Miz comes out, interrupts. They have their typical back and forth as to, who's better, who's not, who main evented, who hasn't. Doesn't make sense for The Miz to stand across from Cena and mention main events, but it's exactly what you want and expect from The Miz and Cena for this segment. I have no problem with it. I love The Miz. I've spoken about it previously. I've spoken about it. I'm speaking about it now, and I'll speak about it in the future. Will always go down in history as one of the top 5 most underrated wrestlers in the history of wrestling. So, the back and forth between Cena leads to Cena becoming the special guest referee, so we're going to call that number 2 in terms of extra people getting involved in a match. LA Knight comes out, crowd pops bonkersly. He is just there with it. Cena gave him the rub before he even came out, said, yeah, used his catchphrase a few times with The Miz as they were going back and forth with the yeah, no. I loved it. I love it. As cheesy as it is, I loved it. LA Knight comes out. They go to work. Cena is the focal point just because he exists when he exists in a wrestling ring. So unfortunately for me, that did take away from it. Waiting for something to happen. Waiting. LA Knight was not thrilled when he came out. Definitely said yeah in Cena's face. So you knew you felt like LA Knight's not going to come down and kiss the ring. So what's going to happen in this match? Back and forth, near falls. Cena did what he had to do. Blah blah blah. LA Knight wins the match, which was expected. I did call it in my pay-per-views. I am 2-0 in matches so far in regards to my predictions. But LA Knight wins. Gets in Cena's face a bit. I would love to see them have a full back and forth, maybe even a full feud, since we have Cena being back for a while. It'll be awkward because they're both so over. Obviously, John Cena is, and LA Knight is so much. I'd be very curious. I'd be very excited to see the reactions if they were standing toe-to-toe in a legitimate feud. So hopefully we'll see something like that. I do want to see Cena get next to Grayson Waller. That's what I hope the most out of his upcoming run. The match itself was fine. It's what you would expect from LA Knight and The Miz, and that's not taking away from their abilities. That's putting them right in where their abilities are. A wrestling match where the story is told through holds and moves. So very happy. Final good finish, and we can move on with either LA Knight onto his next feud. Or continue another little bit with The Miz. I'm fine either way, but I would prefer that he moves on to his next challenge. After that, we had, let me check the notes, Rey Mysterio versus Austin Theory. They had a match. It was fine. Rey Mysterio defies Father Time. It's craziness. He wins with a roll-up after countering A-Town down. All the spots were there. All the moves were there. The storytelling was exactly what it needed to be. It looks like from the visual at the end with Rey Mysterio winning and Austin Theory giving a big old stare down, it seems like this might continue. LWO did come out at the end and hoist Rey up, so there was no interference. We're still at two wrestlers getting involved in the first 3 matches. Not too bad to start. Rey Mysterio going over makes the most sense. I said during my predictions episode, I hope that Austin Theory is able to move on to something different. It doesn't seem like it, like I said, with the facial expression and the zoom in and the stare down between Theory and the belt, really, and staring at Rey. My breezing through that does not take away from what the match was. It was fine. It was fine. It felt more like a SmackDown main event, but it wasn't a disappointing match, and that's key, right? After that, we got the tag team titles. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, our champions, versus Judgment Day. Woo! You want to talk about a good old-fashioned, old-school, Attitude Era-ish type of match? Boom. You got it in this. You got it in this match. And I'm sorry, but you can't complain. We did see some color from Kevin Owens. Somewhere along the line, he did get busted up. They let him have quite a good amount of blood dripping down his face for quite a while before the doctor came in, checked him out, and cleaned it up. I love that they did that. From there on out, he really was able, the blood was able to stop. So whatever they did, super glue, stitch, whatever, staple, whatever they did quickly on the outside of the ring. Wow, great job. I didn't need blood all through the match, but just seeing it for that second was really, I mean, Kevin Owens knows how to put that visual together and display it, and he did. He made the most of his time with the blood on his face, making sure that he was around and getting clubbed. So for me to be excited about blood, it must have been really used in a cool way, and not used. I think he really did get cut. So for it to happen in the best way, hey, what do you want to do? In terms of my feeling about blood. Overall, the match was just fun. Any detractors to it, I can dig it because it was a little bit goofy in terms of them like popping up with the Pittsburgh Pirates, Pittsburgh Penguins jerseys. But it works because the crowd went nuts. Pittsburgh is a hockey town. Pirates stink. Moving on. So it's really cool pulling on showing like a full on hockey fight, dropping the gloves, going to town, going to work. Phenomenal. It's just exactly what you want to see in a match, man. It's entertaining. It's fun. The brutality of it was pretty decent. Kevin Owens swanton off of the railing onto Dominic Mysterio through the table was terrific. It looked like he overshot it a bit, but the visual, again, and the pop, the story of him saying, "Yo, I'm throwing caution to the wind. I'm going to work, man. You're not going to take me out of this." Swanton into the table. A lot of people got big on Sting doing it. I get it because he was like 55, but a good move is a good move, and Kevin Owens just made it look beautiful. The camera angle when they looked up and had him coming over the camera, that was absolutely incredible. Hopefully they get in those positions to be able to take that kind of camera angle on a move, because that was wild. Loved that. The match ends with a little bit of interference. Let's talk about it. So we have 2 out of 3 matches. Okay, 2 total wrestlers. Well, now we got JD McDonough. Who called it? Joshua Johnson did in his predictions episode. Rhea Ripley, Dominic Mysterio. All expected, at least Rhea and Dominic, all expected to interfere. JD McDonough is not a surprise to me. The interferences made sense in those moments. It just felt like a lot. That's 3 people interfering, and I know that shows the guts and the drive of Sami and Kevin. But 3 is a lot. And that really, like I said during the predictions episode, this match was about Judgment Day. It wasn't about Kevin and Sami. They don't need belts. They don't need that. They'll create a storyline against a paper bag, and you're going to watch and you're going to love it. So them dropping the belts, which does happen at the end, but to Judgment Day, Joshua Johnson called it. Drop the belts, Judgment Day wins. But to lead into it, the move sets that led to Sami and Finn in the ring together, absolutely great. Sami had it. Shenanigans ensue from Dominic. Money in the Bank briefcase. Finn rolls over 1, 2, 3. It's a great out for Sami and Kevin. Not like they needed it, but they came out looking strong because they are, and it was incredible. And he put the belts on Judgment Day, and they really hyped up them taking over WWE. They really did. They did a great job showing them at the top of the ramp with all their belts raised up and the Money in the Bank contract. Really great things. Judgment Day is really doing well. Bloodline-esque, but very young with it. Lots of possibility to mess it up. But I love what they're doing right now with that storyline, and hopefully it continues. There's no reason to not believe that it can and will. All right. That is not the last of what we're going to see from one Rhea Ripley. But before we get there, we did have an episode of The Grayson Waller Effect. Cody Rhodes came out. I love Cody. I love what he's doing. It was a little awkward. It felt like, honest to goodness, this was not a great segment for me. I really did not love it, and that stinks for me to say because I've talked about Grayson Waller a lot over my past 2 episodes, including the predictions episode. If you didn't hear it, no big deal. You already know the results because it happened. Anyway, Grayson Waller, Cody Rhodes, something was not there. I don't know if it's because Cody is not in a full feud, so it was more of a setup for the big announcement, which is Jey Uso is now a member of the Monday Night Raw roster. He is back. I wish they took more time, but it's okay because Jey got a reaction that was flipping incredible. Man, this was a night of 3 big reactions. Huge, maybe 4. The LA Knight, John Cena, so that's kind of maybe 4 because that's expected. LA Knight's, the reaction to LA Knight, the reaction to Cody was great until Jay came. So I'm giving this whole situation to Jay. The reaction for him was huge. He is over. He is ready to rock. This is why I'm going to put a pin in Jey Uso. I'm going to bring him back into the main event conversation. But the announcement from Cody in regards to announcing a Bloodline member who played a part in costing him the title against Roman Reigns was odd. I get it that you're trying to bring Cody in. They had a great stare down at the while they were walking past each other. Jay coming to the ring, Cody leaving the ring. I'm fine with all those things, but Jay and Cody should not happen right, maybe at all. Jay has some other places where I think he should go and Cody can hang around the peripheral. But like I said, put a pin in Jay for when we get to the main event. Jay and the world title. There was some sort of awkward interview with John Cena in his t-shirt and a bow tie. It felt very, very cheesy. I did not pay attention to it. It did not get a great reaction. It's just a chance to get John Cena back on TV, back into the pay-per-view with some talent that was not on the card. Not interested. Moving on. The next match we had was the WWE Women's World Championship. Man, Rhea Ripley, Raquel Rodriguez. Oh, excuse me. Hold on. Just talked about. Okay, so we're still at 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 run-ins. So we're still up 4 people. JD McDonough, 5. All right, so leading into the Women's World Championship, 5 extra people involved in matches. Rhea Ripley, Raquel Rodriguez, exactly what I wanted to see. Raquel getting some power moves in, making believe she had a chance, making believe that whether she loses or not, she is a force to be reckoned with. It did exactly what I would hope that it did. Rhea continues to look like an absolute monster in the ring. She is so good. She is so strong. The way she plays to the crowd, the way she sells. John Kiernan, my producer, texted me, said, yo, the way she sells, crazy. She is, and I texted back, she is the most total package up there next to, maybe a step behind, Charlotte Flair for the most complete package in wrestling, in my opinion. Argue it. Let me know. Comment, like, subscribe on all of our places. I'll talk about that at the end. So what else to say about this match other than Dominic Mysterio got involved? So now we're talking about 6. Even though he got involved earlier, he got involved again. I'm counting that as another person. 6 people. 6 run-ins. It takes away from me because Rhea doesn't need the help. She has shown it time and time again. She was showing it against Raquel. Let her work through the pain that was inflicted by a wrestler who is touted as somebody able to inflict pain. I'd like to see her taking on more matches without anybody, but it's Rhea Ripley. You believe that she's going to win or not. Moving on to the WWE Heavyweight Championship, the main event, Seth versus Shinsuke. Great match. Not like it's surprising. Seth had the other huge reaction of the night. Shinsuke had a great one as well. This was the time for me to put the belt on Shinsuke. It did not happen. The only prediction I got wrong all night was the WWE Heavyweight Championship match. I am not surprised. I get what they're doing. I get what they want from Seth, and he is delivering on it. But how long can you play up the injury angle? And that's my point with this feud. This is the out that we have for Seth Rollins to be able to drop the belt. Believable. And man, you believed it. Shinsuke, I was like, this is happening several times. I said, this is it. Towards the end of the match, I was like, look at the time, it's getting late. Shinsuke is in control. Shinsuke is putting it in. Man, did they get me hooked. Just to let me get frustrated. Not in a bad way. I like the decision. I'm fine with the decision. But as a fan, when I I suspend my disbelief, which is the point of pro wrestling. Forget that it's scripted and what have you, blah, 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 fake, blah, blah, blah. It did its job. Made me sit forward and say, oh my gosh, Shinsuke's going to do it. He did not in the end. I like the way it ended. Total exhaustion, totally beaten down. Two men that put it all out there. I don't mind the ending because of that, and I know what they're doing with Seth, so that's fine. Seth is Seth. But I would like to see Shinsuke maybe take it in the second match, win the feud by winning a rubber match after that, and then now we're talking some faces that are ready to move up. Shinsuke is going to be able to face some of those faces and help propel them into that upper level. Folks that are gentlemen that are not ready for the belt, a run with the belt. But again, it puts us in the Royal Rumble with Shinsuke holding the belt. Seth, who knows what can happen. Obviously, I think we're going Cody versus Roman. So, this is the time to use the injury. He can't use that for the next 4 or 5 months, 6 months. It's just going to be like, all right, dude, stop complaining. Either go take a break or, that's it. So hopefully I see a drop of the belt to Shinsuke at some point. I don't know. But that doesn't take away, like I said, from the decision, from the match. All things were fine and good. I think a couple of the matches felt main event on TV worthy, but it didn't take away from my enjoyment. Here I am talking about it for a good amount of time. And I gotta say, it entertained me, had me all the way through. One wrong out of all of it. 6, I think we ended with 6 run-ins out of 7, 8 matches. Few too many. But B-, C+. We're moving on to the next round of stories. This week, like I said before, we've released 3 total episodes. If you haven't heard all 3, go check them out. You can find those on the Armchair Bookers YouTube channel. You can find out highlights, clips, comments on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Like, follow, subscribe, comment. Let's interact. Let's engage. Next week, I will be talking about just general wrestling things. Let's just get back into talking wrestling. Have some review and some reactions to All In. And just, like I said, talk some wrestling. Some non-dirty stuff. Shout out to John Kiernan, as always, my producer, the amazing artist behind my theme, Into the Fire, featuring Mont Easy. You can find that on iTunes. Download it. Download his whole catalog. He's phenomenal. Thanks again, and with that being said, John, throw me into the fire that is wrestling podcasting. CM Punk. See ya on the wrestling convention circuit. See ya.